Alaikum wa rahmatullahi. By the way, I realized that it's quite dark, so I'm gonna stick the lights inshallah. Excuse me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. كيف حالي يا أستاذ؟ أنا بخير الحمد لله. كيف حالك يا طالبي العزيز؟ Okay, bismillah. That should be a little bit better. Okay, two people here. Assalamu alaikum, you guys. How are you guys today? Thank you for coming to hang out with me on your Saturday. Okay. Bismillah. How are you guys today? The two of you that have come to join me so far, how are you? Are you well? Okay, three of you here, alhamdulillah. Make sure that all three of you have liked the video, please. Please do that for me on your way in. That's a great help. Cool, what do we got? We're giving away my my travel books today. We are going to give those away to somebody in the live. Yes, inshallah, those will be be a giveaway for today. We'll give them away to somebody in the chat. Yes, I have these books from my journey, actually. So this book came with me to Egypt when I was studying in Egypt. This book came with me to Palestine when I studied in Palestine. And this was actually one of the first ever books that I bought for learning Arabic. I found it in Waterstones in Truro. And yeah, but it's time for them to go to a better home, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, I'm good, bro. Too hot in London, though. Well, I wouldn't know because I'm in Cornwall at the moment. But yeah, it's rancid in London when it's this hot. I don't like London very much. You might have gathered that. I've been there out of necessity for a little while. My son goes to an Islamic school there, and yeah, we have family there and stuff. But my long-term plan is to not live there. Yes, it's kind of silly for me to live there, really. Like my work is entirely online. I could just as easily do my work on a beach in Malaysia, but for some reason I'm living in like one of the most expensive cities in the world. So it doesn't seem very wise, but that is our situation at the moment. Yeah, it's just sticky. There's no escape from it, is there? You know, like it might be the same temperature as here in Cornwall, but just because it's London, it's muggy and sticky, and there's no escape from it. Yeah, it's a bit grim, and the air quality is a bit miserable. The water out the taps is a bit rough. Yeah, it's not a place that I'm a massive fan of, but you know, at least there are masajid there. There's opportunities for Islamic education and things like that, which you know, as parents we need to make sacrifices for our children to be in environments that are conducive to the upbringing you want for them. So here we are. So what we will do today, inshallah, is I will just talk a little bit about my time studying in Egypt and in Palestine. We'll talk a little bit about my experience and about pros and cons to studying in each place. And that's all I'll really share, inshallah. Maybe talk a little bit about dialect differences, if that interests you guys. We can talk about that. And then at some point in the stream, I'll give these books away and I'll ship them to whoever we give them to. And yeah, as a little free giveaway for you guys. I'll try to think of any other announcements that are important. I am still thinking of setting up a membership for the YouTube channel. A lot of you guys have maybe seen other YouTube channels have memberships and stuff as well. So I am looking to do that, just a £1.99 a month one, to see if we can give you something else and yeah, and use that to support the channel for equipment and stuff like that, because that'd be a big help. And hopefully we can turn it into something which is yeah, which will be beneficial for you guys as well. MashaAllah, just came back from Palestine and Spain. Oh, cool. MashaAllah, that's two. They're not close to each other. You know, they're opposite ends of the Mediterranean. So it seems odd that you've gone to those two countries. But awesome. Two countries that I love, actually. I haven't been to Spain in a long time, but I went to Granada like 10 years ago. And yeah, I loved it. I did A-level Spanish, and it was one of the trips that we did. We went to Granada, and yeah, I actually, obviously I'm down here in Cornwall at the moment, staying with family and everything in the summer. And I was in Truro town the other day, and I came across, there was a girl that was in my Spanish class at school, and I spoke to her briefly, and Yeah, it was kind of a blast from the past. Cool. Let me one more thing just before I start talking about anything of substance. You guys think of any questions that you have if you want to ask anything, but let me just share the live stream link for the students of the Arabic in 60 Steps program. I'm just going to stick it in our WhatsApp group. Let me just grab the link for the live stream and I'll stick it in there. Okay, let's share copy link. Arabic in 60 Steps study group. Live right now. Big smiley face. Live right now. Cool. Okay, that's done. So, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless everybody in this gathering, all four of us, and that He make the acquiring of the Arabic language and other beneficial knowledge easy for us. Ameen. So I'll start by talking a little bit about my experiences studying abroad, and then later in the live, I will give these books away so they can go to a new home. I'm going to put my water here, and I will put these here so you can see the books we're going to give away. Okay, so the first place where I went abroad to study was actually Egypt. I went to Egypt before I went to Palestine. When I was in my first year at university, I realised that lots of my friends and stuff were booking trips abroad to Jordan or to, Egypt or mainly Jordan and Egypt at that time. I started my degree in 2011 when the war in Syria had really just started, so people weren't going to Syria then, but that was kind of something unfortunate about my year group. Lots of us, including myself, actually started our degree with the intention of doing the year abroad in Damascus, because SOAS traditionally had offered Alexandria in Egypt and Damascus in Syria, and obviously as soon as we started our degree was when the war in Syria started. So even though so many of us had joined with a hope of going to Damascus in our year abroad, that was kind of taken away from us. But anyway, so with that, I had plans to go to Egypt in my year abroad, and I thought it'd be a good head start for me to go to Egypt, learn their dialect a bit better, and things like that. So I went to Egypt first in 2012, so it was the summer holiday of my first year. I booked just an Egyptian dialect course at International House. So like these days when I talk to other brothers who go to Egypt to study, they all go to like Islamic institutions like Al-Fajr and places like that, right? But I didn't know about any of that. Obviously, I'm not from a Muslim family or anything, and like I didn't really have any Muslim friends before I moved to uni, so I didn't really hear about people going to study at Al-Fajr or whatever other places there are. So I just booked it at an International House, which is a completely secular school for languages. They have languages courses all over the world actually, but so I went there and I only enrolled in Egyptian dialect, and so in Cairo. There was no like security risks. There was no like security issues on like an international level, and it was actually when Mohammed Morsi was elected. Was the time when I was there. I was in July of 2012 when Morsi was elected. So I was actually like in the area of Tahrir Square when he was elected. It was pretty wild that day. There were so many journalists around, like in Cairo. I met loads of journalists who were learning Arabic at the institute that I went to, and. So there weren't like government level security concerns like there were in Palestine, but there were issues of like petty crime. I had like an attempted mugging on me. They didn't take anything from me, but I was walking home from the center where I was learning Arabic, and they have like these big kind of double highways with like a parting in the middle, if you know what I mean, like people going this way, like two lanes on that side. And I was crossing the road and I was on the middle bit, and a group of boys, about three of them, crossed over to me. And obviously they didn't speak English and my Arabic wasn't great at the time. And like one of them grabbed my neck and was asking me for money. And I don't know what came out. It was stupid. You should just give them money, really. Like I don't know how much I'd have had on me, like $10 or something on me. I could have just given it to them, right? But I don't know, I didn't want to give them my money. And I was on my way to the masjid on the way home, and I was like, look, I'm going to pray dhuhr at the masjid. leave me alone. And I don't know if I don't know. They didn't seem very sympathetic about that. The guy who had me by the neck, he sort of pushed me away. I didn't like fall over or anything, but it was still like just wasn't pleasant because I was there by myself, and you know, yeah, that was a really odd experience. Like, I didn't actually have anything taken from me, but they just roughed me up a little bit. But no, it wasn't the end of the world. But anyway, so there was kind of more things like that in Egypt that like myself and other people I knew sort of experienced there. Unfortunately, like in terms of the time that I was there, I only encountered that once, and then like other kinds of I don't know, I don't know whether you call it unsociable behaviour or whatever, but yeah, I had a couple of people in Egypt like think that because I'm from the West and everything, I must want to drink alcohol and I must want to like come to these secret parties and stuff. I had a few people approach me like that in Egypt, but in Palestine, none of that. Like in Palestine, there's like a government security. It's kind of the opposite, like almost no petty crime at all in Palestine. Yeah, and not even any like undercover liberalism or undercover kufr or anything. There was none of that in Nablus. There was no like people thinking because I'm from the West and that means I must be keen on, parties, discreet parties with other men, or wanting to go and drink alcohol secretly. There was none of that in Nablus. There's none of that at all. Maybe there's like, I don't know, maybe there's a slight just difference in the whole environment because Cairo is a massive city. Like it's just a massive city. Like what, 16 million people or something live there. And I was in Nablus, which is like a very small city in comparison. I've got no idea what the population of Nablus is. Maybe we can have a look. But it would surprise me if it was even a million. Let's say population of Nablus. It felt like a very, very small city. 150,000. Okay, 150,000 people. Like that's less than Birmingham. Way less than Birmingham. It's like, what's the population of Truro? Oh, okay. It's bigger than Truro, but what about Exeter? Small city here in the UK. Yeah, it's like a bit bigger than Exeter. It's, it's really not a big city at all, Nablus. And Nablus generally is just conservative culturally and stuff as well. Like if you ever have like boys and girls sitting together, people will really give you looks. Like they'll think it's really, really weird if like guys and girls are sitting together. That was my experience anyway. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Those of you who are just joining, we're having a conversation about my experience studying in Egypt and in Palestine. And then at some point during this live, I'm going to give away these books. They're my books, but I'm going to give them away to a better home because I can't see myself using them again. Good. So where did I get to? In terms of the actual Arabic language study though, wa alaikum assalam, Danish. Thank you very much for coming back to say hello. Wa alaikum assalam, you guys who are joining, thanks for coming to say hello. So in terms of the actual Arabic language study, Egypt has much bigger institutions and the huge density of like Islamic scholars and students of knowledge is massive. Like you can go to like what's called like the Islamic Quarter. The whole city's a Muslim city, obviously, but there's an area called the Islamic Quarter where Al-Azhar is, and like there's a kind of a courtyard. There's like a town square type thing next to the Jamia, and like there's loads of Tullab al-Ilm there, and you can just go to them and ask them to teach you stuff. It's really cool. Like you can pay them like 10 Egyptian pounds, which was like one English pound at the time, to like teach me a hadith. And I'd go to them and I'd say, teach me about this hadith, and they could just do it. Or I'd just ask them to test me on something from the Quran or whatever, and people would do it. So so there's kind of a big culture of like seeking Islamic knowledge, and that doesn't exist so much in Nablus. Like in terms of the places you can study Arabic, I believe there's one center like near the old city, and then there's the university as well, which will have like summer courses and stuff like that. So there's only really two that I can think of. I'm sure that there are in other places in Palestine. Well, I know that there are. I know there are other centres, and obviously in Al-Quds, in Jerusalem as well, there are places where you can learn Arabic. So there are many centres, but Egypt has a very like, just Islamic vibe. Like for learning Arabic and the Quran, Egypt is like a conveyor belt that people from all over the world send themselves or their kids to go learn Arabic and the Quran, and then they can go off to other places. So yeah, I've talked a little bit about about dangers. Like I talked about in Egypt how unfortunately I experienced a few bits of like kind of petty crime, but nothing was nothing was really a big deal. And also to be expected in a big city like that and much safer than London. Like I mean, even though I'm talking about nearly being mugged and I'm talking about like being invited to men only parties and whatever, right? That's nothing compared to what happens in like any Western city. Like it's not even close, right? Like the danger to me and my Islam just walking through an average area of London, in my opinion, is way worse than anything I experienced in Cairo by far. So it's all relative. Yeah, so I talked about that in terms of the security in Palestine. You'll go through checkpoints and you'll be asked for your Hawiyya, your ID. But obviously you don't have a Hawiyya. You won't be said Hawiyya tech. They won't ask you for your Hawiyya if you're not a Palestinian. They have these little cards. I think they're green. They were green when I was there. Anyway, I don't know if they changed, but and you'll go through checkpoints a lot, and the ones within Palestine are fairly easy to get around and get through. But going in and out can be quite a long and sometimes even humiliating process. Like I'd love when I was there, I was thinking I'd love to be able to take my wife and my children in the future to go to Al Quds and stuff. But now I'm married and I have children. I don't know if I want to now. I don't know. Like I mean, myself and the brothers that I was with when we travelled, sometimes we'd be made to wait at a checkpoint for 4, 5, 6 hours just in the sun. Like they'd take your passport, the people at the checkpoint, and they'd just watch TV in the office. They'd like watch movies, and they'd just have your passport there. Even with me and a couple of my friends, like the Israeli military who are monitoring these checkpoints, they'll even try to trick you, like when they're asking you questions. Like when I went to Jordan and when I came back. I told them, I was like, these are the things that we did in Jordan, and they went off and came back and said, oh, so you went to this place that I didn't mention, like as if to trip me up. So yeah, which is just annoying and kind of condescending and frustrating. But for me, like as a young lad and stuff, like it's not really a big deal for me. But I don't know if I could handle seeing people speak like that to my wife or to my children and stuff. I don't know. But anyway, so there's different kinds of security issues and stuff between Egypt and in Palestine. But both of them, nothing serious happened to me. Both of them, like you always kind of remember anything that was frightening or humiliating or intense, don't you? More so than the 99.999% of my time there, which was completely safe and just really enjoyable. In terms of dialects in the two places, they're both incredibly useful and accessible dialects for students of standard Arabic. Like I'd say Egyptian has more of a pronunciation change to get over. Like Egyptian obviously uses the ghim Masriya, which can really throw you off, but generally, like in the day-to-day use of the Arameya, once you get over a few little pronunciation hurdles with Egyptian, it's very accessible and a very high reward dialect because it's so widely understood. But yeah, yes, let's have a look. So if you go directly to Tel Aviv, it's easier. However, you go through Jordan, it's a nightmare. So I heard it's a nightmare. So yeah, that is the case. That usually we came in through Tel Aviv, out through Jordan. Like generally, just between us, we experienced that being the smoothest way, in through Tel Aviv, out through Jordan. But we went to go and visit some friends in Jordan, and it was just a lot more convenient for us to, even though it was inconvenient, it was still more convenient than going to Amman and then trying to get a flight from Amman to Tel Aviv and stuff. But when we came back to the UK, like in our holiday or whatever, we went back, we always came in through Tel Aviv and then out through Jordan. That was always the smoothest. That was always the smoothest route. Yeah, you learn some things as well about what to say to the guards and stuff like that to just make it easier. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, there was a guy who was with us who could speak some Hebrew, so we'd always keep him with us. Shout out to Pietro. Yeah, Pietro. It's actually Italian originally, but he was doing an Arabic language degree with us, and he was with us in Palestine. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can't see it because the phone's a bit far away from me. But there was a comment about the Levantine dialect generally being close to Fusha, and I completely agree. Like especially like Nablus. I think actually in Nablus they speak a dialect of yeah, like city dialects within Sham are very close. Yeah, I'd say like you can get a little bit out of the cities and you can hear dialects which are much harder to understand. Yeah, one particular example that I tell people about is going to a masjid outside of Nablus. Maybe I don't know. I remember the taxi only taking like 20 minutes or something, like not far out of the city, right? And I heard people refer to a dog as a chelib instead of kelb, chelib, and they expected me to understand what a chelib was. So yeah, dialects can get very different very quickly. But like actually in the city, like I used to go to a gym there like every day, and if you use that kind of dialect at that gym, they know that you're deliberately talking like someone from the countryside, right? They know that you're talking like that. Like if you say Chef Halich and stuff, if you do that, then they know that's what you're doing. But having said that, like my wife grew up in Riyadh and she does that. Jazakallah khairan Ustad from Kenya. Barakallahu feek. May Allah bless the Muslims of Kenya. Ustad, I must go read the Arabic GCSE. Any books you recommend to study beforehand, inshallah? So no, but I would just say like anything focused on the GCSE. Like don't worry about like just broad. If your goal is to pass the GCSE exam, don't like spread yourself thin and look in other courses and stuff like that. The GCSE is about passing an exam. So get stuff that's tailored specifically for the exam is what I'd say. So, and then you will need to gather everything because there's not much. Really, honestly, every year, about sort of April time, my inbox is full of GCSE students who are let down by the examining bodies who just do not support the students enough. Like I've said before on this channel, I get it to a degree because the Arabic GCSE isn't like an incredibly isn't a massively high profit subject that they examine. They're like Edexcel who do the Arabic GCSE. I mean, they're a multi-million pound company. They're multi-million pound company. And the number of Arabic students is very small, so they don't dedicate a lot of resources to it. But it's a shame, really. I think it is a great shame. If any of you guys want to become Arabic teachers and you want to earn good money, go into the Arabic GCSE. Seriously, maybe even just make it seasonal. Just say just do block out like a 3-month GCSE mastery intensive from April to June or whatever, and just to focus on the GCSE. I'm not especially interested in it, so I don't really want to do that. But if any of you are interested in it, then there's a massive mismatch between demand and supply of good GCSE stuff. So there you go. There's a business for you. Here's another business idea actually. If any of you guys want to start a business, Muslim women's yellow clothing. Okay, not to wear outside, just to wear at home with a husband, right? Because I saw this reminder by Brother Imran ibn Mansour, right, aka Dawah Man, about how with the tafsir in Surah Baqarah, when there's a reference to Baqaratun Safra'u Faqi'un Lawnuha Tasurru an-Nadhirin, right, that there's a yellow cow, and it makes those who look at it happy, right? Some of the scholars took a benefit from that and said that generally the colour yellow makes people happy, and yeah. And actually in Somalia, I've seen loads of houses that are painted yellow on the inside. And I was speaking to my sister-in-law, and I said, "Do you know that there is actually a Quranic benefit to that? To actually painting the walls yellow." So yeah, and you could just the whole brand could just be inspired by that one area. It's just about making the husbands happy, which is obviously an act of ibadah. Cool. What else you got for me? Oh no, I wasn't taking questions, was I? I was in the middle of talking about things. There we go. What else? What else about studying abroad? In terms of cost of living, they're both very affordable. You can live a really good life for not so much. So someone said in the comments that now it's 20 Egyptian pounds to 1 English pound now. So the currency is, it's even stronger in our favour now from the UK. Yeah. Yeah, where are we? Yeah, and in Palestine, I'm trying to think, I rented a flat with 3 other boys, right? I'm trying to think what I know every month I went to the cash machine and I took out like $100 and like maybe 200, maybe 200 shekel, something like that. It was like 5 to 1. It was like 5 shekel to £1 as well every month, and that was, and we lived quite well. Like we had a flat that was nice and spacious, and we ate whatever we wanted. I think I lived on about £150 a month. Maybe, or maybe £200 a month. I'm not sure. And that included rent and everything. £200 a month. Subhanallah. Yeah, that was that was in Nablus. In Cairo, I've got no idea. Like, one of my family members lives in some of my in-laws and some of my nieces and nephews live in Cairo now, and they rent a nice apartment for all of them for like $400 a month, I think. Yeah, and then other things like food isn't especially expensive there. I mean, for them, because they live in like a suburb, they live in like a nice kind of like gated, like I think it's like a gated suburb where they live, and it's not close to the center of Cairo, and they home educate, so paying teachers to come out to them is like their biggest expense. Yeah. Cool. Where are we? Danish. Assalamu alaikum. I've heard Egyptian is the best dialect. Egyptian, Arabic, same American English. Yeah, so they are just different dialects. It is comparable to yeah, it is comparable to how we have like American and British English. It is comparable to that. Yeah. Me again. Ahmed Dinch, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum. Is the Palestinian or Jordanian accent closest to Fusha? So, in my experience, from my studies, the Shami dialect is the closest to Fusha. In my opinion, right? I read a really compelling paper though. When I was at university, there was a PhD student who I knew who wrote his PhD in this very topic, like what is the closest dialect to Fusha, and he came to the conclusion that the Sudanese dialect is actually the closest to Fusha. And I thought it was compelling. I'll see if I can get hold of it, and I'll do a reading of it on the channel maybe, if I can get hold of it. But yeah, but I don't know loads of Sudanese people. Like, one of my best friends at uni was a Sudanese guy, and when I went to his house, I can understand his mum very easily, even though I was not familiar with the Sudanese dialects. Just from having studied Fusha, his mum's Arabic was really easy to understand. So that's something I can say. Yeah, cool. Okay, who's here? Have all of you guys liked the video for me, by the way? Because that's a massive help if you do that for me. Cool. I know the Lebanese say shumek instead of mesmuk, so they say shosmek. You've missed a little s in there, shosmek. So they say shu instead of ma. Shu. Yeah, shu is their way of saying ma. So shu, like how the Egyptians say e. Like the Egyptians will say smek e, smek e. They'll put the e afterwards, but yeah, Lebanese, Palestinians, Syrians, they say shosmek. Or sure smick to a woman. Yeah. Yeah. A nice way of asking someone their name in a dialect is saying Shus Mak al Karim. Like, what's your noble name? Shus Mak al Karim. Yeah. What is your ism Karim? Shus Mak al Karim. What's your noble name? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I've talked a little bit about cost of living. I've talked about just safety in general, general well-being. Talked about education opportunities and dialects a little bit. Yeah, I would say the thing is you can't really plan to stay in Palestine long term. Because on arrival, yeah, like the Israeli whatever they're called, like when you come into the airport, what are the people called, like customs, right? Like Israeli customs, they'll either give you like they'll give you a 1 month visa or a 3 month visa, but that's it. And they don't give out longer visas on arrival than that. And everybody in my class got given a 3 month visa. I explained to the gentleman, I said, I want to be here for a year studying at university, and he said I'll give you 1 month, which is awfully generous of him. Yeah, so he gave me 1 month, and yeah, I overstayed that visa, which was a problem, and I had to sort that out. But eventually, I got like a West Bank only visa, which was really good. Yeah, so but with the West Bank only visa, you're not allowed to go to Al Quds, which is a real shame. Yeah. What else? Yeah, but in Egypt, I think it's fairly easy. Like even to get iqama there, like to get residency there, it's not. I don't think it's especially difficult. I heard Egypt allows families to keep renewing their visa, and it's easy to stay there. Yeah, yeah, that is the case. Yeah, my in-laws aren't Egyptian citizens, right? They're British citizens, but they've been in Egypt for years and years now. It's very easy to renew their residency. Yeah, yeah, they don't have an issue with that there at all. Danesh says, what Arabic dialect were you speaking in the Alauddin series? So it's all standard Arabic. The Alauddin series and all of the story walkthroughs, they're all standard Arabic. Yeah. Bismillah. Oh, alhamdulillah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, but that's not the case in Palestine though. In Palestine, you might get a West Bank only. I think you can get a 12-month West Bank only visa actually, but like after that, I don't know how. Yeah. What about the cost of living in Egypt? So my in-laws, they're a family, right, of 7 children, and they rent an apartment for about $400 a month. Yeah, and then food is not expensive. Their bills are not expensive, like electricity and stuff. I think internet, good quality internet, is a bigger cost, but the amount you save on other things, it's not a big deal. Like I don't know, $50 a month or something might get you really good internet. Yeah, yeah. But I was saying like the main expense for my in-laws because they home educate is getting teachers to come out from Cairo out to the suburb where they live. Yeah, there's a big transport cost in there. But if you were to actually live in the city, actually live in Al Qahira, I don't know why there should be lots of expenses. I've known like there's a dad who I became quite good friends with at my son's school, and he moved his family to Egypt. They're not from there originally. I think they're Rare Hamar actually, so they're Somalis, but he spoke Arabic though. Yeah, and yeah, they moved to Egypt, and they live all around like Nasser city. Yeah, and they live a good life there. Yeah. Cool. What else? Yeah, so is safety a problem in Egypt? So I mentioned at the beginning of this live a little bit about how like there's not like a national level security issue. Like it's not like the country has a war or anything like that. But I experienced like petty crime, which is kind of sad really. Like yeah, not a lot. I mean, the whole time I was there, right? Like I had one incident that I mentioned earlier where someone tried to mug me, basically came and just roughed me up a little bit, wanted my money, but yeah, but that's all. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but then also like I had a few times where like so people in Cairo do pray in public, even though there are masajid everywhere. Sometimes like in a market or where there's a lot of people, sometimes though it's just easier to pray in Jama'ah outside, right? And there's one time I was walking home from where I was studying, and there's like just a few rows of people praying Jama'ah in a square, and I just took off my bag, put it by a wall, and just joined the Jama'ah. And then as soon as I'd done the takbir, I realised like I've just left my bag there with my passport in it, with probably $100 in it, and like all my books and everything all in it, just up against a wall, like like you know, like the people will have just seen someone who's like, I don't know what you guys think, right? But I don't believe I look like a local, yeah. So they've just seen someone who's white, not local looking, take off their bag and just put it by a wall and pray. But some of the brothers there told me afterwards, they were like, look, if anybody had stolen that from you, then they would have been in like big trouble in their community. Like how much it would have been frowned upon by other Egyptians for someone to steal from someone praying would have been which, is a testament to the etiquette and the good of the people there for sure. So I don't know, maybe I came across some Lassos, some bandits who tried to mug me. Yeah, I came across some Al Suq. If any of you guys are Somalis, came across some Al Suq. Cool. Okay, what else? Better than London, yeah. Yeah, my shoes keep getting stolen, subhanAllah. I actually said that earlier. I said, look, I'm probably in way more danger in Tottenham than I ever was anywhere in the Middle East. Yeah. Yeah, almost definitely. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. See, this is the thing, right? Like, when you think about either moving or just going to study in another country, people always kind of cite danger and things like that as being an issue. But really, like, we do have our own dangers, especially in London. That's nearly cold. Yeah. Yeah, not long ago, obviously, I brought my family down to Cornwall, and we all went to the beach together. And I like, obviously being from Cornwall, as soon as I saw the sea, I just sort of ran at it to go swimming in the sea. And my youngest, Eunice, he was terrified. Like he thought that I was just going to disappear out there, and he was so frightened that I was like in danger. And when I came back to the beach, I was thinking like, this is so much safer than where I walk through Tottenham every day. Like this, this isn't even comparable. Okay, like there might be, whatever. There might be weaver fish or there might be jellyfish or whatever that I don't know. They might give you a nasty sting, but you know, people in walking about in North London fear for their lives. You should definitely fear walking around in North London far more than you should going for a swim. Lovely, lovely swim in the sea in Cornwall. I think when people are brought up in the cities, they generally are soft to some things. I think, like, I don't know. What about schools? As a homeschooler in the UK, I would assume schools in Muslim countries is better for the upbringing, but I have no idea. So, yeah, that's a tricky one actually. Like, none of my family. Actually, that's not entirely true. Lots of my in-laws went to school in Somalia, and I would say it is better than the UK, so long as you are sensitive to the challenges of the environment. Like for example, if I took my wife and my kids to Turkey, for example, right? I don't speak Turkish, right? My wife doesn't speak Turkish, and neither do my kids. And I'm also not sensitive to the fiten that go on among the youth in Turkey. I don't know how they talk about it. I don't know what their language and their euphemisms for talking about drugs or talking about things that are haram and stuff generally are. I'm just completely out of touch with that. I need to bring Ahmed Dinch with me, but so as I'm completely out of touch with all of that, I think maybe it would be safer to be in an area that I know has a Muslim community, and I'm sensitive to the actual challenges. Because obviously here in the UK, like my wife and I we're both British, and well obviously she's originally Somali or whatever, but like but she went to school in North London and stuff, and we're sensitive to the actual fiten of the youth in this country. So if that's the case, but if it's the case that you speak a language of a Muslim majority country, and you go there and you're familiar with the challenges of the youth and their popular culture and stuff, I think it is better generally in a Muslim majority country. But also I would be transparent as well, that I kind of subscribe to the idea that it's part of the religion to make hijrah to a Muslim majority country. Like, I'll do a disclaimer as well, actually, because I've used the H word. I fundamentally do not support any extremist groups, anyone promoting or encouraging or agreeing with violence, and certainly glorifying any violence will be permanently banned from the channel. And I have no affiliation with any extremist groups. And when I say hijrah, I purely mean moving to a Muslim majority country to be to be part of a law-abiding society and be good citizens. So yeah, there you go. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Alaikum with a C. So we have Dad Somali here, mashallah. How are you immersing other than daytime classes in Egypt and Palestine? I remember you said you had someone come to your house to teach you while in Egypt. Yeah, so for a bit of the time when I was in Egypt, yeah, I had someone just come to my house sometimes as well. But I also had classes that I went to. But it's something you really need to actively pursue. It's very easy to go and be in an Arabic speaking country and be in your room all day. That's not immersion. Going out for 4 hours a day to your classes and then coming home and sitting in your room, that's not immersion, right? Like you really need to go out and pursue conversations. And that can be a real challenge, especially as a beginner, because it's quite tiring to have a good conversation with a beginner. So that's why I hired a teacher. Because like I kind of just went out to like restaurants and cafes and stuff and just sat and like tried to chat to people, and going to the masjid was really good as well because people in the masjid are interested in you and things like that. And so yeah, so as a beginner you really need to pursue the people who can give you the conversations that you want. Oh, we have a super chat. Danish again, mashallah. Thank you so much for the super chat. I've heard MSA is not really spoken form. Yes, you're correct. On a day-to-day basis, like between Arabs, people are not sitting in a cafe saying هل ذهبت إلى السوق اليوم. People aren't saying that. Did you go to the market today? People aren't saying that. No, no. They say things like رحت على السوق. رحت على السوق يا زلمة. Have you been to the market? Yeah, Zalame. Oh, have you been to the market, man? Yeah. So what does a super chat mean? How did the brother highlight it in blue? So when you send a contribution to the YouTube channel, your comment will be highlighted in whatever color, right? So yeah, so, and all the money that is sent to the channel goes towards building the channel. It's not spent on me to get a second wife. It's nothing like that. It's on the YouTube channel for equipment and things that we really need for the channel. And as I mentioned before, it's expensive to run a YouTube channel and requires a lot of time and commitment. So I'm incredibly grateful for those super chats. So thank you very much. Yeah, Danish has been a very generous contributor over the past couple of days. So thank you very much. Yeah, that's how it's done. Yeah. You know, whenever people make money from content and stuff like that, I think some people have a tendency to assume it's for like some negative purpose. Like you're going to see me driving a Beamer, or you see me in the Lambo in my next Instagram pics or whatever, and people are like, oh, he's been exploiting the community for super chats. Yeah. So it's not that. It's for genuine purposes of improving the quality of the channel and things like that, because this channel's got a long way to go, really. We need better equipment, and we need better consistency as well, really, on this channel. Like I don't know. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that we need, really, and super chats like that make a massive difference, and are a contribution that I'm very grateful for. So thank you for the 40 rupees. I believe that currency is, and I believe Danish is Goan, actually from Goa. Yeah, so yeah, rupees. Cool. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Or maybe I should do that, actually. Maybe I should start telling people it's a second wife fund for me. I don't know, these days with the red pill movement increasing, maybe I should jump on the manosphere stuff, start a movement, get Sam a second wife. How difficult is the transition from modern standard Arabic to Emirati Arabic? Should I spend my time learning MSA or directly learn Emirati? Okay, going to work in the UAE, for practical daily purposes, you won't need Arabic. I have quite a lot of students from Dubai especially, but also Abu Dhabi. And they all tell me that their interest in learning Arabic is really just to have a better understanding of the society that they're living in now, to be able to access their news and things like that. But in their daily life, they get by using English. Like one of my students, a guy called Sushant, he was a student on my exclusive program actually last year, and he runs 2 tech companies in Dubai. And he doesn't speak any Arabic. He hires people and has big companies and everything, and has never ever needed Arabic to communicate with people. So that's one thing I'd say. That said, that said, if you want to go out of the cities a little bit and speak to locals and things like that, then maybe going directly to Emirati would be of benefit. But I'd maybe encourage you, if you really wanted to be a diligent student and get the most out of it, I would say to study them both in parallel to one another. I would say just learn conversational phrases in Emirati and learn something a lot more detailed like grammar and vocabulary and all of that stuff for standard Arabic, because Arabic speaking societies, in a sense, they're actually bilingual. In a sense, like if you were to kind of separate a dialect from standard Arabic, they're kind of bilingual in a way. So yeah. How's your Bangla studies coming? So I'm taking a break from that. It's just not my priority at the moment, but it is something I'm interested in. I've still got the books for it and everything, and yeah, every now and again I go back to just practicing the script, making sure I can still, write things out in Bangla. Yeah, it's not easy though. I make loads of spelling mistakes and stuff when I actually use the Bangla script though, but inshallah, at some point we'll come back to it. But not on this channel though. Like on the San Martin Bird channel, maybe we'll come back to it at some point. What does the exclusive program contain? So I'm not running it at the moment, and I'm not going to run it until I've moved house and settled somewhere, and I know I can commit to the schedule of it. But what it was is last year, 2021, from April until August, I ran an exclusive program for only 8 students, where I personally taught them the whole Arabic in 60 Steps program. Like they didn't need to watch any of the content, they didn't need any of that. Like I taught it to them live. Just a very small group of them, and obviously that's much more expensive and stuff as well. But students who really want to complete the program quickly, and I did 4 hours a week of live lessons with them, so it's really intensive. Yeah, yeah. So that's what the exclusive program is. Yeah, and all the students who stayed until the end all graduated. Some of the students, they got to a certain stage and, they stopped coming, unfortunately, after they'd invested in it, unfortunately. They still got a lot out of it. Maybe they still got up to step 40 or step 45 or whatever. They still learned an immense amount, but due to their own circumstances, they weren't able to continue. But everybody who stayed until August, they all graduated, which is really cool. Yeah. Cool. Okay, anything else? Anything else I can help you guys with? Have you ever thought about learning Turkish, Farsi, or Urdu in the future, since they share a lot of vocabulary? So yes, I've dabbled into both Turkish and Urdu. Yeah, and I'd love to. Yeah, I would love to. I'm just not sure when really. At the moment, my priority is learning Arabic and Somali. At the moment, they just have to be, and I'm not like some linguists are just gifted in code switching, but I'm not. I'm just gonna own it. Unfortunately for me, maybe because I learnt languages at a later stage of my life. Like I was 18 when I started learning Arabic. Like for me, I need like 4 to 5 business days to switch between like Arabic brain to Somali brain. So I mean, I don't want to spread myself too thin, but Urdu and Turkish are both languages that I am interested in for sure. But as I say, at the moment, Arabic and Somali need to be my priorities. Ustad, could you recommend resources for learning the Nablus dialect? So yeah, but they're not publicly available, so I can't really recommend them. So there's a book actually written by Dr. Ra'id, who was my who was my Arabic dialect teacher in Palestine. He wrote a book that he's given to me. I don't know if I need to ask his permission if I can turn it into an ebook and publish it or something, but that's full of really good stuff. But I don't know. I've never come across like specific Nablus stuff before. When I was in Nablus, I did loads of research and collected like all my materials with the intention of writing a book on the Palestinian dialect, kind of like all the stuff I wish I knew to prepare me for Palestine. But I've just not got around to turning that into a book. Yeah, but I still have all the notes on it and everything. Little colloquial expressions that you hear in the market, things like that I just collected throughout the whole year, but I haven't got around to turning that into a book. I don't know how interested in dialects I am generally, so maybe that's why. Yeah. Okay, good question. How do you get from high intermediate to high? So that's not. It's a little bit like how do you go from brown belt to black belt in a martial art? It's about it's not so much about increasing your knowledge. It's about increasing your command over it. Like a high intermediate student has a large remit of vocabulary and use of grammar, like enough to write their thoughts and feelings and stuff. But someone who is of a high level of Arabic has all of those words at their fingertips. So the difference between those things is the amount of hours and practice you put in, and how much it is part of your lifestyle as well. How much is it to buy a simple two-bed house outright in Egypt? I'm not sure really, sister. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. It would vary a lot, but it would surprise me if like if you went there with like $40,000 or something. I think you could probably get something somewhere, but I don't know actually. I don't know actually, to be honest. I don't want to speak out of turn. How do you get access to the exclusive program? So next time I'm running it, I will publicize it everywhere. Last time I ran it, I just made an announcement to my YouTube channel, my podcast, and my current students. And but so you know though, it's a 4-month intensive program with me, and I give you 4 hours a week of live lessons, as well as like daily Q&A and a WhatsApp back and forth. And there's a specific like exclusive students WhatsApp group as well. And so the price is £1,250. You can pay in instalments. I don't have an issue with that. But if you've already paid for the Arabic in 60 Steps program, I'll take off the cost of that. So what does that leave you with? What is it? £1,053 or whatever. But you can pay that over the 4 months. I don't mind. I don't think. But so it's an investment. It's not it really is for serious Arabic students. To be honest, I think the money is actually the smallest investment really. For 4 months, you're expected to do what we did. We did a 1-hour session on a Tuesday evening, 1-hour session on a Thursday evening, and a 2-hour session on Saturday mornings. Or on Sunday mornings, I can't remember, but one like 2-hour bigger session on a weekend. That was how we did it. So 2 weekend evenings and one like more intensive session on a Saturday or a Sunday. That was how we did it. So it's it's a serious commitment time wise. Any resources for Emirati and Saudi dialect? So. No, I don't know any specific ones, but I know the colloquial series, they have like a Gulf dialect. They have a Gulf dialect book. Check that out. I don't know specifically though, as I say, like dialects aren't really like my remit. They're not the thing that I'm sort of most interested in. Cool. But check go to arabic60steps.com. If I'm running an exclusive program, it'll say it on there, but also just make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and stuff, and maybe my Instagram as well, the Arabic and 60 Step Instagram, Arabic and 60 Steps Instagram. Yeah, because I'll always upload the stuff there. But I don't know when we'll do that. If I do run another 4-month term, we might do one from October. Maybe I've got a really busy August and September, but in October, if we're settled somewhere and I've got a good workspace and everything, and I can commit to it, then maybe we'll do like, what is it, October, November, December, and January. Maybe do like a 4-month term, and then have 8 more of you graduated from the program in January, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I think stuff should be a lot more expensive, generally. I think if things were more expensive, we would spend more consciously. Earlier, I had to take apart a table that I bought for my wife, and I say I bought for our wife, bought it for our house, but it was a table that she wanted. I didn't care about the table. That I bought when we first got married, and we're probably just going to chuck it and skip now. I thought to myself, like, if this table wasn't 100 quid, if it was £1,000, there's no way I'd do this. Like, we would buy so much more consciously, wouldn't we, if things were just more expensive? And I think that about educational products sometimes. Like, I think if someone spends £3 on a book, or £4 a month or something on a resource, do people really take it seriously? I suppose they do, because people do sometimes learn languages for free, just by using free resources and stuff. But I don't know. But as I say, I'm a self-professed minimalist, so I would say things like that. That we shouldn't buy very many things, but the things that we do buy, we should be very conscious of. Anyway, I digress. Should we give these away? Let's give these away to somebody. So we've only had one super chat today, so I can't do it only for super chats. And also, yeah, also Danish, you also have won a prize before, so I can't give it to you again. So what we'll do is I'll just pick someone at random, or maybe I'll find a good question. And if you want these books, then yeah, then we'll do it. So I'll just do this one more question, and then I'm gonna look through the comment section, and we'll give these away to somebody. Cool. You'd think since Arabic is part of the religion, Arabic language learning would be. I agree. You would think that since Arabic is part of the religion, learning the Arabic language would be a high priority for every Muslim. You would think that if you believe that Allah sent down a Quran in a language, then you would probably prioritize it. I agree. In fact, I think it's pretty astonishing that people choose to learn other things before Arabic. When I was at university, I met a brother. He was doing his degree in Japanese. Allah Mubarak. Good field of study, don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with Japanese. But he didn't know a word of Arabic. And it did make me ponder for a second. I thought, you know, I'm not saying don't learn Japanese, right? But if you're gonna occupy the space of language learning, then understand Al-Fatiha first, maybe. Like, maybe learn a bit of the book that Allah sent down as an idea. So I completely agree with you. In fact, yeah, I think it's a massive shortcoming of the Muslims generally. I watched an episode of the Hot Seat podcast a while ago with Ustad Abdul Rahman Hassan, and he was saying that among the Muslims in the UK, perhaps one of the biggest shortcomings of the Muslims in the UK is the Arabic language. Like, our command over the Arabic language among the average Muslim is not good. And that's a real shame. I think it's integral for a Muslim to have any sort of meaningful connection with our Creator, with our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and our legacy in general. Yeah, because so much of our legacy in terms of Muslim history and stuff is wrapped up in text written in the Arabic language. And I don't know how we get away from that. Yeah. In fact, I actually believe that the Arabic language is our language. I don't think we should even think of it as a foreign language. Because Allah says in the Quran in Surah Ibrahim, 4th ayah, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, that we haven't sent any messenger except with the language of his nation, so that he may explain it to them. So if we think, what's the language of our nation in that case? Right, or who's the prophet of our nation? Right? It's the final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And he came with Arabic. So by that logic, Arabic is our language, but we don't know our own language. That's a mushkila. That's a mushkila kbira, as the Palestinians would say. Another note on the Palestinian dialect. They love kasras on the end of everything. The name Muhammad becomes Imhammad. They love kasras on the beginning of things. They even turn like a ya or a ta marbuta on the end of things into a kasra. Ramadaniye, Falastiniye. And they don't say ana, they say ina. Inna Falastiniye, I'm Falastiniye. Okay, good. Let's give these away. So who is going to win these 3 lovely books? Let's have a look through these. I'm going to pick one at random. Let's stop down here. Okay, Salahuddin. Assalamu alaikum, Salahuddin. If you would like these books, send me an email, sam@arabic60steps.com. Salahuddin, you can have these. Or or if you have them already or you have no use for them, then you can tell me that in the email as well, and we'll figure out another use for them. But yeah, Salahuddin, these are your books. Congratulations. I'll send them to you in the post. And yeah, you are our proud winner. I agree about things should be more expensive when we pay more, we do more to it. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Same with paying for kids' Quran classes. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, how are we trying to cut corners with our children's memory of the Quran and things like that? I think generally, I was having conversations. Some of you, do any of you guys know Ben Iqra? Do any of you know Ben Iqra? So he does da'wah and yeah, give me a thumbs up if you know Ben Iqra. He's a really good brother, mashallah. I love that brother for the sake of Allah. Yeah, I was talking to Ben Iqra recently. He helped me out with some stuff on my YouTube channel, and yeah, I was talking to him about just how it's kind of sad in the Muslim community that we just generally there's like a resentment towards paying for anything to do with education and the religion and things like that. Yeah, which is a shame. Like people like Muslims, Allah Mubarak, are very like generous when it comes to sadaqah on others, right, to benefit others, but they're not generous on sadaqah to benefit themselves at all when it comes to like Islamic education and things like that, which is a real shame. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals scripture, it's often in a Semitic language like Musa alayhi salam with Hebrew, Isa alayhi salam with Aramaic, Na'am, with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with Arabic. These languages are the ones closest taught to the Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Okay, interesting. Good. And yes, I know him. Yeah, Ben Iqra. Shout out to brother Ben Iqra. Yeah. He actually hosted me on, yeah, when I was on the Rerouted podcast, he was the host of that show. That was how I met him, and him and I have sort of become friends since then. Yeah. Yeah, but if any of you guys are building a YouTube channel or something, you'll want to follow Ben. Because, he's yeah, mashallah, he knows what he's doing with that stuff. Like I've been doing YouTube for quite a long time now, and he's taught me loads. You might have seen that the channel has gone through a little bit of a makeover, and even one of my more recent videos on not quitting Arabic was like a slightly different feel to it. It was a bit more storytelling and stuff like that, and that was under his guidance. Yeah. Okay, good. That's everything for this video. We've been here for over an hour now, subhanallah. All right, let's call it a day. I'll let you guys get on with your Saturday. Salahuddin, I may already have your email address, or I may already have your address from you being on the program, but send it to me anyway, though, please. Email me, sam@arabic60steps.com with your email address. And have we sent you a prize before? Did you win the Quran Galaxy lamp thing? Was it you who won that? Can't remember, because a long time ago in the first Alauddin series that we did, yeah, I remember you won the moon lamp, mashallah. Yeah, well done, congratulations, mashallah. It pays to follow the channel. Yeah, mashallah. That would have been a couple of years ago, wouldn't it? So yeah, congratulations. And the mug, cool. Yeah, we did like a giveaway of some of the merch. Well, that's cool. You might be one of the only other people in the world, because we don't sell much merch. It's just kind of there for people who would like it. But yeah, it might just be me and you who have Arabic in 60 Steps mugs. Your mug, astaghfirullah, your mug broke. How? You got to look after your Arabic in 60 Steps stuff. Subhanallah. Anyway. Alright guys, I'll let you get on with your Saturdays, inshallah. Don't let me distract you. And may Allah bless you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.